Hi folks, it's Jay here from All About Photography. I'm just going to step you through the adjustment brush tool in Lightroom. There's a few ways of using it. What I've done here is I've got a picture of this fisherman here with that beautiful pink sunset behind him. What I'm going to do is just use the adjustment brush tool. So I'll click on that, I'll just double click on effect so it resets everything back to zero. I thought what I might do initially is just this cloud line in the background is just pull the highlights out of it a little bit, just to help give a bit of definition on the horizon and add depth to the photograph. So what I'm going to do, rather than just slide the highlight slider up, which is going to brighten the sky and the reflections on the sand and everything, I just want to bring those clouds up. So what I'm going to do is select them with the adjustment brush tool. What I'm going to do initially is I'll go for about a 50% flow, and I'll have a similar feather just to soften up the edges. Now I'll just probably slide the highlight slider up, same deal, probably 40-50%, somebody there, and just the whites a little bit. So I'll just bring my brush down, got a bit of feather on that, I might even go bigger on the feather. Right, so because this picture is basically, the background there is basically all highlights. The fisherman in the front and the island, little bit of land there is shadows. The reflections are a bit of both, but mostly highlights, I guess. There's a few shadows on the waves. But because I'm just going to adjust highlights, and if the only part that I brush my brush over is going to get affected. So you can see that I've just brought the whites out in those clouds just to add a bit of light. And if I go across the fisherman, it doesn't do anything because he's pretty much just a shadow. So I'll just whiz over the top of these cloud line just to brighten it up a bit, just to add a bit of contrast to the fisherman, and like I said, give your eyes something to go towards to add depth to the picture. So that's all I want to do to that cloud line. The other thing I wanted to do is just darken up the fisherman a little bit. Now, he's basically a shadow, so I can do the same thing. I'll just reset everything back to zero, double click on effect, and I'll slide the shadow slider back, probably 50-60%, and I'll just use that same brush. Now you'll see as I swipe it over him, even though I'm touching the sky, there's no shadows in the sky that get adjusted, so I'll just paint over him, and the only thing that's been adjusted is him, of course. So even down to his legs, he's surrounded by highlights, so it'll only affect the shadows. And I'll just slide that back a little bit. I might even see what the blacks do. Okay, yeah, so I wanted black. I wanted to get rid of that checked shirt that he had on, just to make it black. But one little problem it's done there, and I'll click off that, is it's made his face a little dark. If I wanted to show who he was, if it was like, say, a portrait of him, of this man's lifestyle, you'd want to see that it was him. You'd want to be able to show people and say, hey, that's me fishing. So what I want to do is I'll zoom in on his face, right? And what I'm going to do is with that adjustment brush, and I'll just get the flow, 100% flow, and the feather back to nothing. Right, now to show what I'm painting over here, I'm just going to press the show selected mask overlay button down the bottom. So what happens when I paint with this brush now, it'll show me what I'm painting over. Right, so what I'm going to do is just drag it over all of his flesh and skin and his ear and his hair, anything that I want to just add a little bit of light to. Now I'll just make this brush a little smaller. Not so important back here because it fades into a shadow. I'll get his beard down here. If I wanted to get this exactly right, I would probably blow this up larger and spend a little more time with a smaller brush. His sunglasses I won't worry about. Okay, so that's the part of him that I want to adjust. I'll just turn that overlay off, and rather than, there's a couple of ways I can do this. I can bring the exposure up in his face, but what that's going to do is leave a hard edge. You can see that because I've adjusted the exposure of this part and not what's next to it. So that's kind of looks a bit sus, so I'll put that exposure back to the way it was, back to zero. The way I would do this would you just drag the shadows out. So I'm dragging the shadows out off his face, There, we'll put this back to normal size just to see that it's not overdone. Right, there we go. So we've now added a little bit of light. We can see that it's a man with a beard. And yeah, so it's brought his character out a little more. So there we go. That's how you use the adjustment brush to make simple little adjustments to odd shaped things in your photograph. There are other ways, like with the radial filter tool, the grad filter tool, to make adjustments to areas of your photo. But the radial filter tool is a circular tool or an oval shaped tool, and the grad filter works in a plane from where you drag the filter through. So odd shape things that you want to adjust, make fine little adjustments for, the adjustment brush tool is perfect for that. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed that, and join me for my next one. Thank you very much.